Hello, everyone. I'm back. So let's get cozy. This is gonna be a long one. Okay. So, where do I even begin? So, if you watched my previous video, you got to. It's so funny. I have my cup that I'm drinking my tea in, and it says "Trust the journey." I'm fucking trusting it right now, bitch. So my previous video that I posted was about why I stopped drinking. And like I said, since then, I've had pretty amazing things happen in my life. And it's like, I made that decision for like my spirit, my soul. And it needed to happen in order for me to get the clarity that like I needed and just what I wanted out of life, right? So there's that. Just a little bit of a backstory. I will share like my story from like years ago or like a few years ago of like what brought me to Kansas City, because that's a whole other crazy story in itself of like how I manifested some shit there. So basically, let's talk about Arkansas and what Arkansas is to me. So when I moved to Kansas City, Debbie Beauty Co., the manufacturing facility is in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's this amazing lady. She is like truly an angel, like sent to me to help me with my business. And so when I moved to Kansas City, I was formulating and working on my face oil. So if you've been following me for a while, you know I like signed a 3-month lease. I was on an air mattress. I put my stuff in storage. I left it in Dallas, like all of that. Anyways, when I drove, I had to drive because I wanted to meet her before I was like, okay, before we have this like partnership and we decide to work together, I wanted to meet her in person. And so I remember driving from Kansas City to Fayetteville. And I just remember crossing the Arkansas state line and just feeling very like at peace. And I had nothing, like I never wanted to move to Arkansas, okay? Like it was just something that was like progressive. And just since then, I've gone back and forth to Arkansas. I've stayed a lot in like Gravette, Arkansas, which is like a super tiny town. And I love nature and I love being out there, and I genuinely love Arkansas. So anyways, if you've kind of known my journey or you watched the last video, I did share, I went through a breakup and I moved out, and I moved down into the Crossroads, into a 1-bedroom apartment. Love it. It's great. But for some reason, and again, this is what happens when you sit with yourself. So first, I thought I was drinking because I was unhappy in my relationship, but then I noticed that it was continuing on into just being alone, and so I knew I had to make a change. So when you get very clear, the messages you receive get clear, your intuition spikes. Like, I am decisive, and someone can come to me and be like, what do you think I should do? And I could tell them. And I'm like, I know this is what you need to do. Like, this is what I'm feeling in my body. And that's what I felt. When I stopped drinking, I live alone. So there's a lot of, I'm going to take you guys with me. I have something in the oven I forgot about because ADD. And where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so I was sitting with myself and I was crying a lot. I was going through a lot of emotion, and it was, I think I was just purging and going through emotions that I never actually dealt with. And it all just kind of came up. So I just, I tell my Reiki clients, you got to do the work. Like if you want to go on a healing journey, you got to do the work. I've been doing the fucking work. It's not easy on top of just being a human, right? And like doing normal shit. So I got really clear, and I don't have I've made some amazing contacts and connections here in Kansas City. Do not get me wrong. I am so grateful for this space because it gave me a place to flourish, and I started my business here. I created something here that I absolutely love. And so just if you're watching this and you're like, what the hell? Like, I'm here. And I'm like, trust me, I appreciate you. But lately I've been feeling like I'm being called somewhere else. And I'm like literally shaking. And it's not like anything like people think like, oh, you gotta meditate, you gotta like do all these things and rituals and crystals. It's like, no, I literally just fucking sat with me, and I got really real with what I wanted. And so on my vision board, I have a mountain home, I have a beach home, and I always thought that would happen later on in life. And I thought I would meet someone, settle down, have kids, do that route. But that never happened. And I just thought that maybe I would settle down in the suburbs of a city somewhere and then I would progress and, get a vacation home somewhere, right? But I turned 33 in a couple months. I am single. I'm not on that path, apparently, which is fine. And I was like, you know what? I want to cultivate a community of finding this balance between spirituality and just being a normal person. I am very normal. I do work and I can do these things, but there's another side of me. I'm like two people in one. And I've just always been so pulled back and forth. And it's been a struggle. And I really tried to make Kansas City work. But being single, and it was hard for me to connect with people. A lot of people here have they're friends from high school, and even though I was being invited to go do things with people and stuff like that, I just wasn't feeling like I was a part of a community. And I feel the part of the community as on the business side, but not on a personal side, if that makes sense. And I just felt like I wasn't really making those connections. And I've made, and you know who you are, I've made some really amazing connections here. And again, I love you all. I'm like, where do I even go? Because, okay, we're 8 minutes in. Here we go. So I started looking for places to buy. I've never owned a home in my entire life. And I was like, well, I don't want to pay rent anymore. I think rent is such a waste of money, blah, blah, blah. And so I was looking to buy in Kansas City. While I was in San Diego for Christmas, I put an offer on a condo in Kansas City without even seeing it because the market is crazy right now. And by the time I got back, they took another offer. Fine. A month later, I found another condo in the Western Auto Building, put an offer. It went through, but unfortunately, the building was being sued, and I had to pull out of that because that was going to be another issue. And I was like, well, I guess I'm just renting an apartment. At this point, I'm just going to have to suck it up and do this. So I signed my lease, and I was like, okay, I have to get my shit together, and I need my own space. So I signed my lease in February. And again, this is where all the magical stuff started to happen for me. Well, I just randomly decided to go on. I was looking at homes in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Never been to Hot Springs. And I knew someone who lived out there, and she was like, I don't know, like, hot springs can be, like, it is, like, nice, but it can be a little bit stuffier than other, like, places. My best friend here actually is from Eureka Springs and lived there. And I've known her since I lived here, and she always told me that I had to go to Eureka Springs. She's like, you will love it there. She never told me to move there, but she definitely told me to go visit. And I thought I was looking at homes in like Fayetteville and Bentonville to be in like more city type areas. But I was like, no, if I'm committing, I'm fucking committing. And I found, like, randomly just on a Google search, I was like, homes for sale in Eureka Springs. Mind you, I have not been to Eureka Springs until this weekend. I found this home that is new construction on a lot with some land, and it's tucked away in the trees, no neighbors. It is in the woods. It's in the woods. A cute little home with a little sunroom that I'm definitely going to turn into a yoga room. So anyways, I see this home, and again, the series of events. My girlfriend connected me to a realtor in Hot Springs. That realtor connected me to my realtor in Eureka Springs, and I started working with her, and she was like an angel. So if you want to move to Arkansas, I got some amazing women who are realtors out there who believe in magic, and yeah, they're great. So, or if you want to come live by me. So anyways, let's keep it going, because I want to tell you about this story that happened. So I was supposed to go to Oklahoma City, and for some reason, I was supposed to leave on Friday because my sister lives there and long weekend or whatever. She couldn't get time off of work. It was weird. I had a meeting out there, got canceled. And so I was like, I don't know why, but like I took Friday to just lay in bed. I did not move. I laid in bed, I worked on my computer, and like literally Netflix and chilled. My body was drained. So I was like, you know what? I do like this home. I talked to the realtor. We did a virtual walkthrough that like last week. And I was like, you know what? It's Memorial Day weekend. Why not just drive there? So this is where the magic begins, okay? God. I packed my stuff. I don't know where I'm staying when I get there. So I actually packed, camping was my last resort. And then my realtor's cousin's mom passed, and she's like, well, your last resort, if you want, you can stay at her home, blah, blah, blah. But my last resort was to be camping, because I've done this before where you like camp in your car. So I did bring like some camping gear with me just in case I was just like hanging out on a campsite. I ended up so I drove into town. So I left Kansas City Saturday morning. And I got there, and I'm telling you, like, the drive was amazing. And, like, it's a 3.5 hour drive, and it felt like a 20-minute drive to me. I felt like I wasn't even driving, if that makes sense. I felt like someone was driving my car. Like, I was being led here. So by the time I get into town, it's busy, it's bumping. It's a big, like, biker spot for some people. And so I'm looking for a place to stay. So I Google while I'm driving. I shouldn't have done that. There was like vacation rentals or something. And I call them and I'm like, hey, do you guys have like a room? And I didn't even know where it was or whatever. And they're like, yeah, well, we have one room available, but it's a minimum 3-night stay. And we have one room, and it's like our penthouse. It's like the room with a view. It's like the nicest room. And I'm like, I'll take it. I show up. It's the cutest bed and breakfast. My view, if you saw my Instagram photos, I mean, I was like in a bungalow amongst the trees. It was a beautiful view. I was like high up. Just like amazing. I felt like home. I was able to do yoga out there. And so Saturday is when I met up with my realtor. She picked me up. And then we went to the house. And immediately I like was grinning ear to ear, like teary-eyed, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this house was made for me. This is exactly what I've always wanted. I've always wanted a cottage like in the woods, and to be this like mountain woman and have space to like formulate and herbs and potions and do yoga and drumming outside in the woods naked if I want to. And I was like, I don't want people around me. Like, I want that. And so we showed up and we did a tour, and I'll post my little tour that I did of the space on Instagram. But so after that, we go into town and we eat at Bubba's. And my realtor is from Arkansas, and she actually worked in Eureka Springs for a little bit. And so she notices the sheriff of Eureka Springs is sitting and eating dinner with his wife, and she knows him because they went to high school together. So he comes in and sits with us, and I mean, he's talking because I had questions about like the crime rate and if it's like safe for me to live by myself in the woods. Like, hello. And if anyone's watching this, I got 3 guns, so don't fuck with me. Come on my property and you will get shot. I'm just gonna say that right now. Because again, I'm like a tiny little thing living out in the woods. So I need that protection now. Like, I actually need it. And yeah, so he was talking to me about like any sort of like violence or crime, and he couldn't like he's like, there's no gun violence, you know, there's a little bit of like drug stuff, but it's like outside of the town and it's like taken care of, but that stuff's like everywhere, right? This town has no stoplights. It's very windy and hilly and lots of trees. So we go to the dinner, she drops me off, and like, you know, I'm just hanging out outside drinking tea, and I'm like walking booger, and I felt like home. It was crazy. And then the next day, I'm trying to think of the days. So then that was Saturday. So Sunday, it was like a little bit of a stressful day because I ended up like kind of sleeping in, and then I did some yoga, and I was just like moving very slow on Sunday. I didn't leave my little, like, I call it my compound, until like around 2:00 to like venture out and about. And my realtor's cousin owns the Quality Inn in town. She was like, go see her. And she's like, just so you know, if you move here, like, feel free to go use her pool and everything like that. So anyways, she wasn't there, but I ended up talking to this other lady who works at Quality Inn, and she lives in the woods, and she's like out there. So at least I'm in the woods, but I am close to the town. Whereas with her, she's like out there where like the road to her home is no longer being serviced because it's not even considered a road anymore. And she was like talking about how her car got stuck down the road. She had to borrow someone's car. She's like, sometimes like electricity will come out, Mother Nature comes through, like all these things. And she's like, you know, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to learn how to do things yourself real quick and learn how to fix things and blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm a handy individual. I can do some basic things around the house, but I mean, holy fuckaroni. And this lady kind of freaked me out. And so I was a little nervous of like this decision. I was like, oh my gosh, am I making the wrong decision? Like, I don't know. Am I capable of doing this? And I really had to talk myself off the ledge and be like, you can do this, Ashley. You are so capable of doing it. So then the next day, so yesterday was my magic day. So if you're wanting to manifest, like, you have to understand, like, those little nudges from the universe that are coming through, listen to them. Because everything that got me to Eureka Springs this weekend was not a coincidence. It was fate. I eat in town at Mud Street Cafe. So if you're in Eureka Springs, definitely go there. It was delicious. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm energized. I'm feeling rejuvenated. I'm going to walk around the town and like do some shopping and stuff like that. So I go into one shop and they have like buy one, get one half off. And I went ham on some hippy dippy clothes. Let me tell you, I spent a whole lot of money on a new wardrobe because that's where I'm at. So I'm talking to, and this older lady is helping me, and she is goals. She has like the long, flowy, hippie, goddessy hair. She has her headbands, all of her crystal jewelry, flowy pants and shirt. And I was like, I just want to let you know, like, your energy, like everything. I'm like, you are amazing. Like, just keep being you. And I asked her, I was like, do you live in town? And she's like, I don't anymore, but those 3 girls do. And those 3 girls that were at the front desk were like my age. And they lived there, and they were all transplants. So that was one thing that was difficult for me, is there's not a lot of transplants in Kansas City that I personally met. But out there, there's a lot of transplants. So someone came from Colorado, one from California. Can't remember where the other person came from, but they all lived in town. And one of the girls owned a crystal shop, and so we swapped cards. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have crystal infused skincare. We need to do something if I move here. And I was like, if I move here, I'm going to be hitting you up because I need friends. So I did that. And I was like, do you know of any yoga studio in town? And they're like, no, it shut down because of COVID. And but they're like, you should go check out Oracle and Sage, because I think they were thinking about opening up a yoga studio, but they didn't have a yoga instructor. And I was like, okay. So I go from that shop to another shop, and it's an essential oil shop, and that's my jam. So I'm like, playing around with the potions and everything like that, and I end up talking to the owner of this shop, and her name is Mystery. She's 55 and does not look like she's 55. FYI, when you go through like a spiritual awakening and you start taking care of yourself, like from the inside out, you start to reverse age. I hope to look like this when I'm in my 80s. Maybe a little wrinkly, but we're gonna try to keep these up. And you know what I'm saying. So anyways, I'm talking to her, and again, I won't go into detail because this would make it like a very long video, but talking to her, like, she was affirming everything that I needed to hear. And she's like, girl, like, before I left, she was like, welcome home. And she, when I was talking to her, and I was like, yeah, I do this. I'm a yoga practitioner. I'm a Reiki master. And I'm just trying, what I want to do is, like, I want community, and I want to be a part of creating, I want to be a part of the healing space somewhere. I want to create it. Because I want to share this with people. So that's why I didn't think about moving to another city, because yoga is already prevalent. Wellness, healing is already prevalent. I was like, I want to go somewhere that I can like co-create with other people and make some magic happen and share. And she was like, you can do that here. She's like, we need it here. And she's like, I promise you, you will have community and you will have family. She's like, yes, it's busy. There's, tourists that come in and out. But she's like, the townspeople, the people who live here, we all know each other. If you ever need anything, like I have chills. Like, it's just fucking crazy. And then it was funny because then I asked her about the yoga studio, and she's like, you need to go to Oracle and Sage. I was like, okay. And she was so sweet. She was like, oh my gosh, like, she's just, I love her. I'm going to I cannot wait. Anyways, let me go on with my story. So then after that, I'm like, okay, let me go to Oracle and Sage now. Pull up. I talked to the front desk girl, and I'm like, are you the owner? And she's like, oh no, but she's like, the owner's not here, but her sister is. So I'm talking to the front desk girl, and then the sister comes in, and I'm talking to her, and I'm like telling her what I do, and I can just see her honing in on me. And when someone has a presence, she has this presence that she's very strong and like no BS, and it's like, I wonder if there's like a bunch of people like me who come in asking for a job, like who knows. But I was like, I'm in town, I'm looking at a home. But I'm a Reiki master, yoga practitioner. I do sound baths. I do drumming. I do all these things. And I don't know where I would do it here. I don't know if there's like a place. And she just looks at me like she saw a ghost. I'm not even kidding you. And she goes, she's like, okay, I need to get you my sister's card, and you have to text her, and you have to connect with her. She's like, so their shop was only one little shop up front. They then expanded over the years, and they have this whole floor now, and it's an amazing store. You got everything you need to be a high vibrational being. And then upstairs they had a massage room. So they do have massage therapy. But the reason why she was looking at me, because she was like, I guess her sister had this aha moment. A penny fell from the heavens onto her lap. She got a call from the owner of the building, and the owner asked her if she wanted the space upstairs, and she just said yes. And that penny dropping was like, she's abundant and she's gonna like figure it out. And so the sister was like, chills, I'm gonna like start crying. And she goes, last week we just got this space upstairs and we're turning it into a yoga studio, but we don't know what that looks like. Yeah. And so I'm walking around the store, and like she comes back and like she's talking to me, and she asks what my sign is. I'm like, I'm a Cancer. She's like, yeah, you're definitely a Cancer. And she's like, when's your birthday? And I was like, July 18th. And she was like, wow. She's like, my birthday's July 19th. And I was like, you have no idea how crazy this day has been. Because there's been other stuff, and I'll go into it. But anyways, I was like, it's been crazy. And she just like looked at me with such peace. It's like, and she like does readings and stuff. So I'm sure she was reading me. And she just like looked at me and she's like, you are powerful. And again, this is all happening yesterday. The new moon in Gemini came through real nice for me. And she's like, keep going. She's like, you are powerful. So I finally leave. I give her a hug. And then I'm just like, whoa, like shifts, everything's happening. I go back to my room. I grab Booger to go to the dog park. We're there by ourselves. And then this older guy comes in. He's older. I'm like, God forbid he watches this and I like am wrong on his age. So anyways, but he's older. He's lived a good life, but he's lived everywhere. And just he was sharing his story of like a near-death experience, and he does YouTube videos that I watched, and it was a crazy thing. He interviewed this woman, and you could look her up, Dakota. It's D''Kota. If anyone, or Cota. If you want any info, just message me. You know how to find me. And she's like an herbalist. And I was like, wow, how cool to hear like these stories that he's like having and creating. And he lives like right down the street from the house that I'm looking at. And he's a photographer and videographer. So he was in politics before, and he died. He said he died twice. And I was like, do you mind me asking about like that experience? And so he told me about, he was really sick and he had to go to the hospital, and he died on the operating table. And he goes, when I died, I went somewhere and it wasn't heaven, but it was like a waiting space. And he's like, I was talking to people. They weren't angels. They didn't have like wings, but he's like, I just called them like my helpers. And he was like, they told me that my job was to make pretty pictures and share them with the world, because the world is a heavy place and it needs more joy and happiness and lightness. So he got out of politics and full-time dove into photography, and his stuff is amazing. I even got, I'll show you. When I was leaving, he gave me one of his photographs. And I have his number. He offered to like give me a tour. He was a tour guide in Eureka Springs for a very long time. So like the Crescent Hotel is haunted, and he told me all these like really cool stories and experiences that he's had. And I like shared my story with him, and it was just like a really like affirming conversation that I had. I wanted to be at the dog park for maybe 10-15 minutes, and I was there for an hour sitting on a bench talking to him. And this is a print of one of the churches that are that's in town. So he gave me this. It'll be the first thing that I put up in my new home, which I'm getting to. And then after that, so while I'm sitting there, the owner of Oracle and Sage texted me. So I didn't even reach out to her yet. And she texted me asking if she could connect with me. So I was like, yeah, of course. So I drive up to the house I'm looking at to purchase that I'm interested in. And I'm like sitting there and I'm having this conversation with her, and it's like the stars are aligning. She's like, absolutely. She's like, you can like, she's like, what we need is to start a yoga program here. But she's like, I don't teach yoga. And she's like, and also side note, she lives in Kansas City and there. She has homes in 2 places. She knows my ex-boyfriend's family because I won't even get into that, but we like know each other through people, if that makes sense. And she's like, that is crazy. And I told her, I was like, well, if you want to like experience me, I was like, well, I'm still living in Kansas City. I'm like, come to like Sweat Theory. Everyone should go to Sweat Theory. It's freaking amazing. But I'm like, if you want, I was like, let's do a Reiki session on you. Come to my classes. You can get my vibe, like everything. So anyways, I'm talking to her, and basically it's like, I would create, she's like, it's open. She's like, the only question I have for you is like, if you want to do your own thing, or if you want to be a part of this and like expand. And I was like, I am just very open right now. The thought of opening up my own studio at this moment, because I know what it takes to do that. And I know a lot of people want to open up studios and whatnot, and I'm not like knocking you down, but it's a lot of work. And a lot of money and a lot of time. So I was like, you know what? I was like, for now, let's co-create. I want community. I want connection. I started my business and I work by myself. I live by myself. I want connection. So let's do this. So basically, I mean, it's not like I'm salaried making millions of dollars. I'm going to have to like generate income, right? And figure it out because it's a new client base that I'm not familiar with. But she's like, you can run that. Like, and I told her like, I will email you like the times I think classes should be, what format. She is giving me a Reiki room upstairs. I mean, this is when I get emotional because it's like, this is like what I've always wanted, is just to help other people, because I've gone through so much. And if I can just share my stories and share what I've been through with other people and share my gifts with others, then like I am like living like my purpose. And so, I didn't think, wow, I get really red when I cry. And it's just like, this is like, I just felt like home. And Eureka Springs is like a very spiritual place. The water is like magic. There's a vortex there for sure. I mean, it pulls you in. And so my astrocartography chart, if you're not familiar with that, it's like astrology, but for places to visit and live on what you're trying to like harness or hone in. And you can Google astrocartography and pull your chart and it will explain everything to you. But my sun line runs right through Arkansas and actually hits Hot Springs and Eureka Springs. And so they say, and so it's my sun line. So my sun line is where or our sun line represents individuality, acceptance of the self, learning how to stand on your own 2 feet by yourself, diving deeper into your gifts. It's a solo journey, and it's really tapping in and tuning in to the self. And that's where you grow. Like, that is where you root and you grow and you thrive, because your ego dies and you're able to connect to like your highest self. And I think that's why, because lots of people have asked me like, okay, like, are you dating or anything like that? And I'm like, no, because one, I am busy right now, but 2, it's going to have to take somebody who can really understand how I operate, because I am a different breed. I am not normal. And so, yeah, all of that conversation happened. And so basically, like, I found a space that I can thrive at and conduct my business and like share my love and passion of yoga and Reiki and call in these people and help them and be a part of the community and be fully immersed. She's also an esthetician. She's like, oh my gosh, girl, we're going to put your stuff in here and we're going to sell the fuck out of it. I mean, it's just bizarre. So then today, I'm back in Kansas City right now. But I said a little prayer. I cried a lot this morning, sitting outside, because I didn't want to leave. I just felt like home, and I just didn't want to go. And here's the other thing too. I had this realization, lots of realizations, but my feelings and my emotions are very true and authentic. They are not alcohol induced. I'm not like having, I'm not hungover and scared. Like, does that make sense? Like, what I'm being pulled and called to do is very true and very honest and raw. And the tears coming through this morning were truly like just gratitude, immense gratitude to be amongst the trees. And I like just felt like I was like, so when I do Reiki sessions, each Reiki master, that's why there's no right or wrong way to do it. I think it's like all about the intention behind it. But some people channel star groups, some people channel angels and guides. And I've always told people, like, if you come to me and like the first session you had, I say, I channel the elements. I use Father Sky comes through the crown of my head and connects at my heart. Mother Earth roots up through me to my heart. They make magic in my heart, and it comes down my arms and out my hands. That's how I operate. A lot of people think Reiki is like my energy. No, because my ass would be very tired. I am not using my energy. I'm a conduit and channeling to heal. So anyways, it's just funny because when I was out there, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. I was like, how other people have like bosses and like you have to like report to. I report to Mama Earth. She is my boss, and she guides me. She guides me when I hear the winds that come through the trees, and if I ask a question and I can feel that breeze just hit me, and I'm like, okay, got it. I can see a feather, I can step on something. I mean, it's Mother Earth always has my back. It's crazy. But when I was leaving, I just said a little prayer, and I said, God, if I'm supposed to be here, like, make this happen. If they don't accept my offer on this house, and mind you, like, I was very specific on my offer that I gave and what I wanted and needed. And even my real estate agent, like, thought, like, they would counter it. And I just, like, my prayer, I was like, God, if it's meant to be, like, if I'm supposed to be here, move mountains and get me here. And And as I was like driving back home, you know, I'm listening to all of my like drumming music and I'm just like immersed in it. And then this huge thunder rainstorm comes through as I'm driving and I just feel this cleanse. Like, it's like, look, bitch, all your bullshit is about to disappear right now. Like, you are about to embark on a new journey. And got back to Kansas City, you know, I'm unpacking. I was on a call with somebody and my real estate agent was calling me like over and over and over again. I was trying to get off this call. And then I pick up the phone and she says, "You got it, girl. They accepted your offer." And right now I'm just full of gratitude and I'm trying to figure out the logistics of it. I don't know if I'm going to continue to stay in my apartment here and bounce back and forth for a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to move full-time there. My furniture that I've always had is very goddessy. It's like gold and white, and I feel like I need to like transition out. So I feel like I need to start selling my furniture that I don't think will like fit in there, because I want a different aesthetic and energy to come through. Like, I want a lot of green and brown and earth. So there's that. But, yeah. I have no idea how I'm going to pull this off. And June is the busiest month for me. I have to go to Chicago for a show. I have a show here for Devi Beauty in June at the Overland Park for the Just For Her event. I have an event that I'm doing in Lawrence at the Free State Yoga Festival, and we're a vendor there. And I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it because I always figure it out. And I'm always, always divinely guided. I know that shit for sure. Yeah. And it was interesting because I was a little worried about, you know, being out there by myself. And there's like, don't get me wrong, there's like 2 homes. There's one down the way. There's 2 down the way. And everybody knows everybody. So they brought me up to speed. I was like, okay, like this trailer looks empty. And I'm like, is it like a meth trailer? Like, what's going on? Like, am I safe out there? And the people who owned the lot previously, I was told that it was like an older couple that lived in a trailer on that lot, but they passed away, and I guess they had like a garden and they had chickens and everything. And when they passed, I guess they sold the lot in 2019, and then the new buyers like put this new tiny home out there, clearly for me. And again, there was just like so much magic going on. And so I'm super excited, but I'm also like freaking out a little bit because I don't know the logistics quite yet, but I know I am going to find it. And I'm not worried. I mean, I wish I kept my boxes because I'm going to need boxes again. But, if you need clothes or furniture, and it's nice clothes, like I wear free people, or workout stuff or anything, I definitely am getting rid of a lot of things. So if you need anything, please reach out because I will sell it to you for cheap, because less things for me to move. And yeah, I don't know what any of this is going to look like, but I'm thoroughly excited, and I'll definitely be sharing a lot more here. I like YouTube because I can do long videos, and I like that YouTube, at least for me, because I'm not famous. I'm like hidden from people, and you have to like really work to get here. So if you're here, thank you. It means that you like are interested in like my journey and what I'm doing. But yeah, or if you want to, I love this apartment, just by the way. It's right across from Sweat Theory. So if you need an apartment and you want to take over my lease. The prices have gone up, but my cost for my rent isn't bad. So it's here. And I'll be sharing, like, this is just, I share this story because I think so often, at least for me, for so long, I was getting really, really frustrated and burnt out because I didn't know what my path was. And I still don't know what my path is. It's evolving. But if just know, like, put your mind on something. If you want to make something happen, it's going to happen. Like, regardless if you want it to or not. And when you hit those roadblocks, just say thank you. Because there was a reason why nothing was happening for me in Kansas City. I wasn't closing on a place here or anything like that. And it just wasn't working. And I kept being met with like resistance. But I'm grateful for that resistance and those no's because it's leading me to where I'm headed now. So get in the flow and believe in magic because it does. And just remember, I spoke to this in my yoga class last week, that sometimes your healing journey or the journey that you're on, like you can be doing the work, but that timing, it's not there. But at some point, it gets here. And that's when those synchronicities start to happen and everything just, it seems so easy. Like even my real estate agent, she's like, when you come back into town, she's like, I have to touch you because you are literally magic. I don't know how you did this. And I was like, I just like trust. I trust the process and I make it happen. So yeah. Yes, I am moving to Arkansas, but I don't know what that looks like for now. I don't know. I don't know yet. But stay tuned because I'm sure I will have so many other videos that I will be posting about this journey because it's going to be really fun. Okay, I think I'm going to like eat now since I haven't eaten. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I have like not been hungry. Since I've been there, I eat like one normal sized meal a day and I'm just drinking a lot of green juice and a lot of water. And I think that has a lot to do with like what's happening with me energetically is like I'm elevating and I don't require energy from food because I am cultivating energy on my own. I'm like I literally am a generator. I was about to be like, I'm like a generator, like an actual machine generator, but human design. I'm a generator. This bitch be generating everything. So yeah, please reach out. Like again, I left a tat, so I am here for you. I will definitely I kind of stopped my coaching, but I kind of just with like I feel like I need to do that. I very much enjoyed coaching all the women that I coached. I think at that time I was just very overwhelmed and I took on a lot of clients. So, but I want to help women do this. I want you to manifest the fuck out of your life and just know that everything that you want is already yours. It's attainable. You got to do a little bit of work and trust and lean into your intuition. So I'll be back to talk about all things manifesting, and I'm just going to keep creating YouTube videos. Who cares? I want to talk about my yoga journey. I want to talk about my Reiki journey. I want to talk about like little things because I know for a fact that my stories are going to touch and help other people and inspire maybe you or anyone to like fucking make this happen. And I'm doing this out of just like my heart because it's not like I make money doing these videos. I thoroughly enjoy sharing myself with you guys who want to listen to my story. So I'm a proud homeowner in Arkansas. Eureka Springs, watch out because you got a witchy witch coming your way and I'm here to help and just help. And I'm excited to like live out truly my journey and my purpose on this earth. Also, just like side note, my past life, my most recent past life, I lived in the woods by myself and people were not allowed to do alternative medicine. They had to go to the doctor in town, and people would travel and journey to me for different concoctions and potions to help heal them. So I almost feel like maybe I'm still on that path and that journey, because that past life, when I died, I actually came back the same year, like my spirit. And so I wonder if maybe I still have to go down that journey. I don't know. But I'm excited to be in Eureka Springs and be around the magic. Native Americans flourished there, and their energy there, it's there. The water is magic. It comes from a glacier, and it's very, very holy water. I will say that. And I'm just like super excited. So stay tuned. And I'm sending you guys all like love and abundance. If you want something, go get it. And don't settle. Don't settle. Life is truly, like, this human experience is a very, very short one. So do what makes you happy. What is setting your soul on fire? And it doesn't have to be with just like moving or anything like that. It can be like a relationship. It doesn't mean that the person's a bad person, but if it's not working out, it's not working out, and you gotta go. Your job, anything, just like make shift happen so that your soul can thank you and you can feel free and like live free. Okay? I'll be back, guys. Sending you guys all love and light. So, namaste, friends.